All right, guys, top 5 investor hotspots in Temple, Texas. Today, I'm going to break down where I see the most investor deals, and I'm also going to break down which neighborhoods could work for you, which neighborhoods have the best cash flow, which neighborhoods are good for flips, and which neighborhoods may have the most deals. All right, let's get into it. All right, so my favorite neighborhood right now for really any investors, but the safest neighborhood I think for new investors that want to still have good cash flow, want to have more of the options, like for more exit options, I think the Cimmaron subdivision is going to be my #1 pick. I'm going to start off with the pros, and why I like it is that #1, the price of these homes. The prices on these homes are great. The average is like 179. I try to be in like the 150 to 165, 170 range on these homes. You have 2 1s, you have 3 2s, but the thing about this subdivision is that they're brick homes and they're on slab. So once you start like getting under 165 in Temple, you're mainly looking at pier and beam homes that are significantly older. These homes in the Cimmaron subdivision were built between 1982 and 1985. All right, so these homes, you have plenty of options. You can do long-term rentals, you can do mid-term rentals, you can do flips. Why I like these homes personally is because they are typically right at that age point where there's not like huge issues with the property. There's not really foundation issues in this area, but a lot of these properties, they need, a cosmetic rehab. So it's great. You could walk into some equity. Ideally, this would be for a midterm or a long-term rental, because if you flip, it's going to be hard to get the right price on these properties. You're still really close to the hospital, so the main tenants are going to be, nurses or hospital staff, which is one of the main things that I look for. Long-term rentals, you're looking at between $1,200 to $1,600 per month. These are going to be good tenants, long-term rental. That's the safest play in this area. The next one, midterm rental, between $1,900 to $2,000 a month. That's what I would do, because it's a little bit more risk, but you're going to get a lot more cash flow. That's the name of the game. You get that cash flow up, you can start saving more money, you can buy the next one. The next thing that I love about this neighborhood is that there's really pride of ownership in this neighborhood. Whenever you're typically looking at homes in this price range, whether it be for an investor, first-time home buyer, whatever the case is, a lot of the times you're going to run into like some places that the grass is super high, there's deferred maintenance, on the exterior that makes it look bad, something like that. All of these homes are just in beautiful condition on the inside and on the out, and they keep the place mowed, they keep it looking nice. The curb appeal on all of these homes is very nice. And like, think about it, if you're a tenant, going to go see this property for, let's say, $1,600 a month, and you just saw one by the hospital for $1,600 a month, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable driving through this neighborhood because it just looks nicer. The other reason that I really like this area, if you want to just kind of zone in on this specific little neighborhood in Temple, is that you have a very good mix of single family and multifamily. It's probably about 20% multifamily in this area, and these multifamily properties, if you are an investor, you're ready to jump on a deal and you know the numbers, or you have me who knows the numbers, you can really make some good money on these duplexes. There were 3 available. I think a few of them are under contract. I know there's one available at least at like $230,000, $240,000 for a duplex, 1982 duplex. You could make a killing on a midterm rental. All right, now let's move on to the cons. The biggest con, in my opinion, is the inventory. There's just not that many homes that come up. What I tell my clients is like, look, I'm gonna put this as a part of your criteria. if we get something here, look, we need to jump on it, but don't hold your breath to get one in here, because it's a possibility they're not going to come up. Typically when they come up, they go fairly quickly. Sometimes they're priced a little bit high. You can maybe get a deal, you know, go a little under asking price and do it that way. But I mean, if they're priced right, they're going to go quickly, because the numbers work better than the majority of Temple if you factor in the age, if you factor in the cash flow, if you factor in the deferred maintenance, if you factor in everything, you know, this is in my opinion the best neighborhood. That's it, but that's the con, you know. If you're waiting for this specific neighborhood, you may be waiting for a while. Which I always say, look, it's better to jump in, start getting after it, start learning the lessons right now, and then by the time you would have found a deal anyway, you're 10 times more prepared to jump on the next deal because you already learned all this stuff. But the number one thing, for me, I don't want to be just waiting on the sidelines and then never make a move. I'd rather make the wrong move 10 times and then learn, rather than wait for a, you know, home run deal that may never even come up. All right, my second favorite neighborhood in Temple for investors is going to be the Hospital District. I like the Hospital District strictly because it's a perfect place for midterm rentals. And then second, because the houses that are there are already perfect for midterm rentals. You have little 2-1s that probably need a rehab. You go fix them up, you do the full rehab, get a nurse in there. Now you're getting way above market rents. You paid less for the rehab. You're not paying that much for electric and water because the house is small and it's typically just one nurse. And it just so happens to be these perfect properties are just right by the hospital. The other thing about these properties is they work well. So what I see a lot of the time is that these older homeowners, they will have like converted the garage into a 3rd bedroom space. So there's quite a few 3-2s. They have a converted garage, and maybe they don't have a garage at all. They just have a little carport. I see that quite often. Those are great properties for long-term rentals. I actually owned one as a long-term rental that I was renting for I was making like $550 cash flow on that one. Yeah, I did a rehab on it, really nice rehab, and then I had it rented. I had no issues renting the property. Very good demand in this area. And then you also have a solid tenant base with the nurses. Okay, the ideal strategy kind of would depend on your specific goals. The most efficient strategy in terms of risk versus cash flow, you know, versus rehab versus all that stuff is going to be midterm rental. Why midterm rental? Because the gap between the midterm rental and long-term rental is so much that you can really, like, every 2 months, every 2 to 3 months, you're making like a whole month of long-term rental, you know, occupancy. So it's like you would have to be vacant for a month every 2 to 3 months to make it up. And there's just not that much vacancy in the area. The demand is still high. I'm managing midterm rentals for my clients, and I'm seeing the demand there. But if you're an investor who just wants kind of a more hands-off deal, which by the way, midterm rental, if you work with me, it's going to be hands-off. I'm going to get you set up. But let's say you want a long-term rental. This is going to be one of my top areas because there's 3-2s. They have a good, you know, for the purchase price in these areas. I mean, they're all over the place. They're older homes, but average you're going to be between $140,000 and $170,000, and you know, on the 170 side, you're going to get like a decent 3-2. You know, for a long-term rental, you're going to get a good long-term rental 3-2 that's going to rent for at least $1,500, maybe even more, probably $1,600. So there's a few cons, and it kind of depends on your risk tolerance. But what I think that may not be as appealing to some investors is going to be, number one, that these are pier and beam homes, and number two, these homes are typically built before 1950. So it's a significantly older home than the Cimmaron subdivision. The other thing is that a lot of these will need a rehab. So it's a possibility that you could be putting 20 to 50,000 into this property, especially if you need like central AC, which if there's plenty of options, and that's why I like that I made all the mistakes, because I can help you guys out. If you need something big, please reach out to me. I'm going to get you set up. And then the last con, I think, for me is really going to be the resale side, you know, depending on the conditions. Personally, if you work with me, that's not even an issue, because you're going to be getting at least a decent deal, a decent enough deal to where you know exactly what you're getting into. You know what you can sell it for after the rehab, or if there even is a rehab, and I can kind of guide you from there. But a lot of people are more hesitant to buy, you know, these older homes on the resale side. Investors love them, but if you're gonna do a rehab, you're probably gonna sell it to a resale buyer, and you know, they're more hesitant, so there's less demand for those types of properties. So who is this neighborhood for? This is for the investor that maybe has a little bit more risk tolerance and that is mainly focused on cash flow. These are great cash flowing properties. You can really start building a portfolio whenever you start buying these properties up. I think that would be the ideal investor for these homes right by the hospital. All right, so moving on to number 3, we're going to be kind of close to the number 1. It's the Canyon Creek area. So Canyon Creek is set up into like a bunch of smaller little sections, and then like Cimmaron Hills, for example, that's kind of the first little section of Canyon Creek. That is the cheapest section of Canyon Creek, and it's also like there's not as many like mature trees in this section, but it's still, I mean, I like the trees in that section. But then you keep going, and as you kind of go along Canyon Creek in these little communities, the prices go up a little bit. But I think that Cimmaron was like the first community in Canyon Creek, and then all of these are newer and newer and newer. Now you can get all the way up to like $1 million in Canyon Creek area, but there's like 3 sections. They're great for investors. They're going to be larger than the ones in Cimmaron. Brick homes. They typically have a really unique layout. These homes are like anywhere between, you can find one that needs some work for like I actually had a client last year who got into one for $155. He got super lucky. But I mean, 150 is possible to around 225 is where you can find them for like 300 in the sections I'm talking about, but that will work for an investment property, you're going to need to be around 220. So these streets are going to be like Stagecoach, Buckskin, Canyon Creek Drive, some on Stratford, Canterbury. There's a little pocket there. All the homes are between like 1,300 to 1,700 square feet, and you're going to get a better rent for these properties, and you're going to have a better resale value and more options on the resale side. I think that this section of Canyon Creek would be best for an investor who maybe they want a little mixture. They want some cash flow, they also want some appreciation. The homes will cash flow, but the main thing is like you can add a bunch of equity if you get one that's pretty beat up, and then also they're going to appreciate very well. This is a very desirable section in Temple. So it's a great spot for investors, but the only thing is it's a higher entry point, and then also you're not going to be making as much cash flow, which that would be, in my opinion, the con is the cash flow is lower. You can spend the same amount, even less, and you can get more cash flow. So that's a con for me personally, but I do see the side. I have a bunch of clients. They invest strictly for appreciation, and I know, like, I've done the numbers, and it's more profitable to invest for appreciation, But you know, it just depends. Like, I'm not in that spot yet. I don't have a W-2 making a whole bunch of money, so I try to get cash flow. Okay, number 4, I joke that this is like the section for the Californians and the people investing from New York, because the cash flow, you're probably going to be about break even. This is the West Temple kind of Carriage House Trails area. There's an older section. The price of these are going to be anywhere between 200 to like 240 for an investor. You can rent them out very well. It's in a very good like school district, Belton ISD. You're not going to have any vacancy issues, but I ran the numbers on quite a few, and you're really at like a break even whenever you have to pay property management, you know, deferred maintenance, whatever, capex, all that stuff. It's pretty much at a break even. But I think in a like with a 10-year plan, I think this is the best investment you can make in Temple, because I think the appreciation is going to yield you much more than the cash flow. These homes are typically built after 1990. You have homes from, you know, 1,400 square feet all the way up to like 2,300 square feet. Pretty nice homes. Great location in Temple. You're right on like West Adams. There's a bunch of restaurants, shopping, you know, businesses, and it's still growing. Like, they just added a Chipotle, they added a Chick-fil-A, they redid the Shipley's Donuts. I used to live over there, and I really wish I still lived over there. Great area. The cons for this, for me, are going to be the cash flow, and then the higher point of entry, because I mean, you're going quite a bit above what you would pay, even for a down payment, what you would pay for something in the Cimmaron subdivision. This is a very safe investment though. If you're worried about vacancy or getting a good tenant in there, this could be a good spot, and it's especially if you are wanting more of an appreciation play. These are great properties, and you can really start building up the wealth. The other con that I have to say is, like, now that I think about it, is the scalability, because and really now that I think about it, it's like, if you're doing this appreciation play, you probably have a good W-2 job. You probably have, you know, have a business or something that needs the write-off for the real estate. You know, these homes work great for those types of people, and you can buy a bunch of those, and then in 5, 7, 10 years, you can really do well on these properties. It's a great area for appreciation, and it's an area that I don't see like falling anytime soon, because it's still growing. They're still building businesses, they're still building restaurants, and there's still a huge pocket of West Adams that's undeveloped that I think is going to grow. They're going to put more businesses, restaurants, stuff like that in those empty places. But I love the area, and there is opportunity in that area as well for investors. Okay, now for the secret one, number 5. Listen, I just thought about this while I was doing the video. I was like, I don't know if I want to say it, just because I'm very unsure about this. This is the highest risk neighborhood that you can be in my opinion, in Temple, but it's also where you can also get the highest reward. This is going to be for the investor they're ready to take a risk. You know, maybe you buy 3 in by the hospital, or in Cimmaron, you buy 1 over here. This is East Temple, the East Temple neighborhoods, anything east of South 1st Street. These properties are coming up very cheap. The rents are lower than the rest of Temple. If you drive around, you know, it's a little bit like you don't feel as comfortable. But why is this a good investment opportunity? Number 1, the properties are a lot cheaper. Number 2, Temple is offering incentives for investors to fix these places up. A lot of the properties in this area of Temple, they're to the point where they need to be torn down. So there's some like new builders like Ameritech or something, they're tearing these down whenever they pick up a lot, and then they're building them. They're doing a new build. And you'll see, if you drive over there, you'll have a brand new home, and then right next to it there's a home that's fallen down, you know. So it's a huge opportunity, because I think if you hold the property for long enough, these investors are going to start buying and buying, and they're going to start fixing them up. Once it gets, like, if you could have like a whole like area of it fixed up that doesn't look sketchy, that doesn't have houses falling down, where people are actually taking care of their yards, I personally think that the values are going to go up. New builders are already going like way East Temple, so if it's only the only way to grow is like inside. So I mean, it makes logical sense to me. I think if I was going to take a big risk, it would be buying in East Temple, because to me it makes sense that you're going to have a better return if you can hold on to the property for the right amount of time, and they're going to cash flow. They're still going to cash flow. You're still going to get these benefits. The only risk is that what if Temple doesn't, you know, it like blow up like I'm thinking, and then the after repair value doesn't shoot up. Well, the risk is that maybe on the sell side you're not going to make as much as you thought, but like even then, or maybe you could have bought a better property in a good area in Temple, but I mean, it's a risk. What's the reward? The reward is that the value goes up, and now you got like a 20, 30, 40% return on this investment, and you did really well. So I think the risk outweighs the reward by a lot. Every investor kind of has a different outlook on investing. You have your specific goals, and I am here to kind of help you get to those goals, help you build the portfolio that you're thinking about, and then kind of advise you on what areas may work for you and what areas definitely aren't going to work. I would love to hear from you guys if you are even thinking about investing at all in Temple, in Texas, in California, whatever the case may be. I'd be super happy if you all reached out to me. You can schedule an appointment with me in my Calendly. You can also call me, text me, or email me. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Also, if y'all have any questions at all, you can reach out, or you can drop them down in the comment section. Hope y'all enjoy this video. Let's get it.